right, so today we're going deep on the World in Florence 2024.
Ah,
And, it's billed as a festival.
yeah.
But it's really more than that, right? It's
Yeah.
about cultural heritage and communities.
Yeah, it really is. It's about looking at the connections between the two.
What's interesting to me is that they're really trying to expand beyond just the typical,
Oh,
like the
yeah.
scientific discussion of
The
heritage.
academics.
Right. And they're doing all these other things like cultural tastings,
Right.
exhibitions, a photo contest,
hmm
even film screenings.
hmm
So they're really trying to make this accessible
Yeah,
to a broader audience.
absolutely.
One of the core things I think is so interesting about this is how they're trying to bridge this gap
Yeah.
between institutions
Yeah.
and communities and how they're saying, look, this heritage belongs to all of us,
It's a shared responsibility.
and we all have a role in preserving it.
Yeah, it's not just about, academics or museum curators.
Yeah.
It's about everybody.
Right. So tell me about some of the cool stuff that they're going to be doing in the program.
Oh gosh, well they're going to have a whole bunch of different sessions, a lot of talks,
Yeah.
but also documentaries.
Oh, cool.
I know they're going to have some other surprises as well.
Oh, yeah.
But really what they're trying to do is they're trying to get people to think about
Yeah.
what heritage really means.
Right.
And, like not just, like you said, the historical significance,
Yeah.
but what it means to people today.
Right. And how we interact with it and
Yeah,
what role it plays in our lives.
absolutely. And, there's going to be some really interesting sessions
Yes.
looking at the,
Yeah.
how tourism impacts heritage.
Okay.
Because, a lot of these communities rely on tourism,
Yeah.
but is it changing the nature of their heritage?
Interesting.
There's one researcher who really believes that
Yeah.
the pressure to preserve traditions for tourists
Yeah.
is actually making them less authentic. Wow.
So it's really a delicate balance.
Yeah.
And,
Sure.
so that's a really interesting one.
Yeah.
They're also going to be looking at, the economics of it, how
Yeah.
people access,
Yeah.
how do communities access their heritage.
Mm-hmm.
And also looking at it, from a local and global scale.
Okay.
So you're comparing and contrasting
Yeah.
different experiences.
So since this is taking place in Florence,
Yeah.
there's a whole session dedicated to Florence.
Of course.
Which, you can't talk about heritage without talking about Florence.
You can't, Florence is a living museum.
Right.
It's practically a case study in itself.
Yeah.
And so this session's really going to look at how Florence has navigated this
Yeah.
tension between
Yeah.
preserving its past
Yeah.
and embracing the future.
Right.
Because it is a modern city,
Right.
but it also has this incredibly rich history.
And does such a good job of both.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's really interesting to see,
Yeah.
how they've managed that.
No, what I think is just mind-blowing is that they're bringing in all of these different perspectives from around the world.
That'd be so cool.
Imagine like
Yeah.
a Berber rug weaver from Morocco,
Yeah.
like a Maori master carver from New Zealand,
Mm-hmm.
and a Venetian glassblower all in the same room,
Wow.
talking about
Yeah.
what it means to preserve their craft
Yeah.
in a digital age.
It's amazing.
It's really just this global tapestry.
Yeah. And they're going to be talking about how we experience and interpret heritage
Yeah,
in a world that's so interconnected.
right. What does it mean when everyone can share everything
I know.
instantly on social media?
Yeah.
Does that empower or does it dilute
Exactly.
the power of it?
It's really interesting.
Yeah, and another thing that I think that they're going to dive into
Yeah.
is this question of what happens when we focus too much on the economics
Yeah.
of heritage.
Yeah.
Do we risk losing
It's a risk.
the deeper meaning
Yeah.
for the communities that created it?
That's the real question, right?
Yeah.
Because on the one hand,
Right.
tourism and development
Yeah.
can bring vital resources
Yeah.
to these communities.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
Yeah.
we can't forget that heritage is a reflection of the human spirit. It's
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
the creativity and soul of the
Mhm.
communities that created it.
So it really seems like the World in Florence 2024
Yeah.
is more than just a festival.
It's a call to action.
Yeah, it's like saying, hey, let's have a real conversation
Yeah.
about what heritage means in the 21st century.
Yeah.
So I think one of the big questions that people should take away from this
Yeah.
is how has globalization
Yeah.
changed the meaning and value
Yeah.
of cultural heritage?
Yeah. That's a big one.
Because I think this is a conversation that really affects all of us,
It does.
whether we're in Florence or
Yeah.
on the other side of the world.
Absolutely.
And so, if you're lucky enough to be in Florence
Yeah.
during the festival, you should definitely check it out.
Definitely.
But even if you're not,
Yeah.
I think it's worth exploring these ideas
Absolutely.
on your own.
Yeah.
Because really what it comes down to is understanding our shared human story. And that's something we all have a stake in.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.